car I bought for my work because I'm not working. And I just can't afford it anymore.
So what? Did you
Did
got
you?
a V8 or you just got like a 4-cylinder banger?
I bought what was it?
Or you got
I
like
bought
one
a
of those
plug-in
hybrids?
electric
Oh,
hybrid.
you got a hybrid. Okay,
Well,
cool.
it's an electric hybrid, so it
Okay,
runs off batteries for like the first 40 miles,
and then
and
it
then
goes
it's
to
hybrid
gas.
after that.
Okay,
Yeah, it
that's
goes
cool.
to hybrid. Yeah, I
Well,
guess.
no. I've actually been in Ubers that people have those, and they're actually pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. I actually do like
Yeah.
them. I think they're pretty cool.
So something else I wanted to throw out there. For example, the old incandescent light bulbs versus the new fluorescent light bulbs, and now they've gone to LEDs. But the old incandescent light bulbs, if you look at it, it's just a little bit of glass, a little bit of metal, and the carbon footprint to produce those is vastly smaller than the carbon footprint to
Of a
produce a
light emitting
fluorescent light
diode,
bulb.
yeah, or a fluorescent, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is that by changing it to these high efficiency, we're using less power allegedly. But if you read the box, it'll say something like you save money if it's over like 100 hours or something like that. A lot of those fluorescent light bulbs, you're changing them before you hit that 100-hour mark. Furthermore, when you turn on a fluorescent light bulb, by the nature of how they work, and Mythbusters did a whole thing about this, there's actually a voltage spike. So if you turn it off and on within 3 minutes, you're
Yeah,
using more power than you would have
yeah.
used
To just
if you
leave it
had
on.
just left it on for the three
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah. You're correct, sir.
Well, you
And
So
can get you can buy the Edison bulbs, or they're I don't know what to call them in the U.S., but they're those yellow looking ones with the large filament in there that are low watts.
yeah,
They're
I know what you're
not.
talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, they also have LED bulbs you can buy
I
yeah,
mean,
also that are not fluorescent.
yeah,
Um,
I'm
I
just saying
mean,
that a lot of these solutions to fix the problem of carbon footprint are working in the opposite direction, because you might be saving a
that
little bit
doesn't
on your
though.
power bill, but the carbon footprint to produce these fancier light bulbs are vastly larger than the old incandescent light
What
bulbs and
what
their carbon footprint to produce.
yeah.
Wolfram filaments, I guess it's called,
I
but
mean,
I
incandescent's been almost like completely banished from our reality, bro. Like a technology going out the door.
but I do have a question here from Michael Fracker. I think is important because I'm a libertarian. Anyways, as a libertarian, I'm hit all the time with what about public areas like air and water pollution? Ozian, what kind of answers do you provide to these type of questions? I know that freedom is the answer. What's the question? But many people don't like that type of response. So I'd like
Okay,
to answer
so
that.
what do you got to say?
Okay, so I am a libertarian, but I'm not anarchist. So I believe,
Right, I hate anarchy.
yeah, I we have a problem with the commons. So we do have to resolve issues with common areas, publicly owned areas. And so when it comes with pollution, we do need the Environmental Protection Agency. We do need stuff like that. We do need regulations to deal with environmental factors and water control and all this stuff. And there's some industries that are not free market industries. And I could even be argued that I think there's an argument to say that healthcare isn't a
Yeah, and
private
bro,
industry.
to back you up, bro. Like I even have fights with my own kind. Like I have fights with other flat earthers. Like I'm not into anarchy. I think
Yeah.
there needs to be a system to some extent.
Yeah. It always devolves into a system, anyways. You can never
You
have
can
an
never
anarchy.
escape it. You're
I
right.
know. You get three people together, they're going to figure out a way to
Before
make decisions.
someone's like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't believe that all land can be privately owned because you need publicly cleared land to be able to do stuff. So that's my answer to that. But so like there's problems with that because then you're relying upon the people you elect to hold the land in trust and to be honest and stuff like that. And you know, I understand people can be cynical, not skeptical. People misuse those words. Cynical about people in government to do the right thing and not they're not doing the right thing now about climate change. They're doing nothing. the Democrats want to regulate everything and call it for climate change. The Republicans think God's going to bring the rapture, so why do shit? Like, gosh, dang.
Something else that
Hold on.
I think Dr.
I hate to do it, Ozian, but that is a straw man. Not all Republicans are waiting for the rapture. There are.
I know that. I do.
All right.
But
All right,
neither.
go ahead, Tyler.
But
All
not
right,
all
go ahead.
Democrats want to. But not all Democrats want to regulate everything either. So.
Yeah. Okay.
I get straw man both sides.
All right,
Ozian, I think you're highly underestimating the Inflation Reduction Act. I know you haven't. The last time we talked about it, you hadn't looked into it very much, but that was basically a climate bill. And I think to say they haven't done anything, they spent tons of money. It's driving the prices down. Lithium prices keep going down. You can now buy in China an $11,500 electric vehicle that goes 250 miles. American companies are starting to benchmark it. They're going to build in Mexico. They're going to build them, and suddenly you're going to have $10,000 brand new electric cars with 250 miles of range, and they're going to build these factories in Mexico because of the Inflation Reduction Act. So and it's going to take over. So to suggest it hasn't done anything, and if you follow the wind industry really closely and how aggressive they are on building and putting up more wind turbines and trying to get contracts in order to have certain water rights in order to build offshore wind and so on and so forth, the Inflation Reduction Act has been absolutely huge and all that. So when you say the Democrats don't do anything, I think you're completely wrong about that. Now, I agree the carbon tax would be better because I actually think the carbon tax is more free market. As ironic as that sounds, I think carbon tax is the most free market way to do it, which is why I would agree with that. But to say the Democrats aren't doing anything is just not true, I think.
Can we?
I forgot about that bill they passed in, was it 2022?
Right.
You did mention it before.
Something else that came up in my last discussion on this was the amount of square footage that's devoted to things like parking lots that are heating up in the sun and apparently contributing a lot to global warming, which would otherwise be offset if it was just straight up park space. And one of the things we kind of brainstormed on the spot that I wanted to kind of bounce off you is, what if things like mall parking lots have a bit more of like a grassy area where people could park knowing full well that the mall parking lot's never full. So it was kind of just like this grassy area out that if everything else was full, you could just kind of park out yonder. Like, as long as there wasn't kids playing there and things of that nature, if it was grass, it wouldn't be reflecting the heat and things like that. Like,
Yeah, I think no parking anyways. They should have be able to walk on a thing and go right to the mall. Or we should have battery operated drones that leave warehouses and drop them off right at your door for a publicly subsidized fee to keep people from driving long distances to go get this stuff. I don't know what the answer is, but I do have, I don't know, but mall parking lots.
Replicator machine like within the Orville, so you don't even have to leave the house. Just push a couple of buttons and it makes you what you want.
Drones aren't science fiction. Drones they can do that, but then they are looking at
what you're asking seems to be a bit outside the realm of what exists now.
Well, no, they're testing it. They're testing doing that stuff right now. The Amazon's trying to get licensing to test them.
I've seen things where there was Domino's had a pizza delivery drone. That didn't work out too well.
No, it's not working, but it's not science fiction. It's just they're trying to work out the kinks. So we have drones for small packages. It's physically possible to do that. They returned my chicken and water. I got a refund, whatever. Cry Nunya question: assuming evolution is true, isn't climate change something that facilitates evolutionary change? On the other hand, if the Bible is true, then protecting the environment should come first. Evolution happens regardless if climate change happens or not. So, we don't need anything to facilitate anything. I don't know what the question means. And evolution doesn't we don't need to speciate, if that's what you're implying. We don't need to change species. There's no requirement that happens. I don't get the question. And if the Bible is true, then protecting the environment should come first. Either place, if you are human and you value humanity, and the environment should come first. If you think the world's ending in like 40 days, like people do right now, or 90 days or whatever, then why would you care about the environment?
The end of the world is bad for business, but fear of the end of the world is always good for business.
Yeah.
The other thing that I kind of want to throw out there is there is actually a conspiracy theory of like the Anunnaki Nephilim lizard people are initiating global warming because they're from a planet that's warmer than here, and they're cold-blooded and they want to warm the planet up and assimilate it to their species. You know, the shapeshifters like the Queen of England used to be, apparently.
Oh, bro.
Okay.
Although I hear where you're coming from, we don't want to muddy the waters, poison the well.
I just want to get it all on the table.
I know where you're coming from, brother, but
well, living in the flat Earth community,
they're gonna grab this, bro.
I'm sure you've heard a lot of these things.
They're not gonna grab onto this one, unfortunately.
I listen to those people.
Just so we're clear, I'm not on that hype train. I'm just saying.
No, I got no issues with you, brother. Okay. I'm just saying we don't want to poison the well, make flat earthers look like psycho crazy people. I think that David, he does a pretty good job of the reptile thing. I think he's got that on. I think he'll just leave it to him.
Hashtag not all flirts.
I'm debunking the Level With Me video. I'm working on it. It's slow. I have so many things I'm working on. Someday I'll get it done. Maybe never. I don't know.
So, okay. Oh, sorry. I'm not trying to hijack your thing here. I just thought I'd throw out something else because there was talk about a water crisis. And in some countries, such as like Saudi Arabia and things like that, they're going to be running out of water by 2050. And then other people were saying, well, maybe then global warming is a good thing because as the icebergs melt, we get more water. So like as the water levels rise in one spot and the water level kind of goes away in another spot, I'm just wondering like what your thoughts are on that. Is it going to like achieve equilibrium as things get hotter and we lose water? Are we going to get more water from the icebergs melting? And
you need desalination plants at the oceans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they could build that now.
Oh my God!
If they wanted to. If having the water level be higher won't help that, right? That won't aid it at all. Building desalination plants with a slightly higher ocean level won't matter. Like they could build them right now. The problem isn't enough that they don't have enough salt water.
And they can get fuel for nuclear power plants from desalination plants. They can.
I like nuclear power. I'm kind of where I live. I'm close to the Great Lakes, and we got a couple of nuclear power plants around here. But there's a whole lot of controversy with, like I said, there's a whole lot of environmentalists who are against that sort of thing, and they're big on wind power, which has a lot of issues for the environment as far as messing up the birds and stuff like that.
Dude, that is just such a lie. Like the cats kill so many more birds than wind turbines. It's just insane. And all the people that think they care about birds because
our cats bad
are lying.
Our cats
no,
bad?
It's that the wind turbines are
we
bad.
Need to get rid of cats.
No, that's not the analogy.
Yeah, it's if you really care about birds, you have to
get rid of cats. I understand that. I agree with this guy. This guy is talking my language.
Well, I like the idea of changing roof shingles to either solar power or just green space, because those roof shingles and the tar and everything reflect a lot of heat.
You could do like what California did and said any new homes, residential homes built after 2019 have to be built with solar.
Absolutely. Because the developers won't do it themselves because they only care about making the quick buck at the beginning, right? Because they're not living in it long term.
Right. They want to literally spend the least amount of money. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to have regulation. So I think that's a super, super good regulation, because otherwise they build the roofs in such a way that you can't really put solar on them very well. And I love the roof idea. Tesla has tried it, and it's basically failed because the cost. It's too hard to install. They work. They don't particularly cost too much. It's the installation cost is so difficult. It drives the price up. And I guess if they solve that, that would be great. But I think in Australia, they just have a ton of solar and no one cares and everything looks fine. And that you just sort of have the social thing of being like, we don't care if you have, solar on your roof. It doesn't look ugly anymore. And I think that would be a cheaper way to do it than try to figure out how to install roof shingles. I'm not opposed to them. It's fine. If someone invents a way to make them awesome and cheap, I'm thrilled. But
they need to be serviceable as well. Because you got to clean them and maintain them.
Not really. Rain keeps them clean usually.
Well,
the rain where I live, like every time it rains, I gotta wash the car because there's a lot of like stuff in the rain, sediment, and whatnot.
They don't go out and they don't go out and clean solar panels at solar farms like you think they do. They keep clean, and the little bit of dust and stuff get on there. It doesn't really degrade the panel from being useful.
Oh, I don't say degrade. I mean, like when you say degrade, do you mean like its lifespan or its efficiency?
Its efficiency. It doesn't block enough of the solar energy to really, because you get more wind that blows it off, and you plant like shrubs, and you just keep the shrubbery down. You spray water if you need to prevent the sand or dirt from being blown up on there, and you if it rains, it cleans them off. So they pretty much stay sort of clean.
If it rains, it cleans them off.
There's people in my neighborhood who have solar power roofs, and they said that it was neat for a couple of months, and then it just became useless. But again, like I live in Canada, so we have like a far better.
Rain doesn't. I mean,
that's what happens.
There's pollen. There's other shit. Like it's not just rain. Just clean them off. It's pretty funny.
Well, you get pollen and stuff. You're gonna want to clean it if you want to, I guess. But I've had them. I never cleaned them, but I hose them down.
Well, you're not getting you're not gonna get maximum efficiency if you're not.
He can track his efficiency though. You just look at the app and see how efficient they are.
Well, of course, but I'm saying like pollen and shit. It happens. Moss and there's a lot of stuff going on, and just salt in the air. I mean,
they get
not so simple as just you throw it up and it's all good to go.
It's almost that simple. That's why they're so awesome and cheap, because the maintenance is so low.
That's not true.
It depends on where you're at. So if you're near the coastal region, you're going to have to get
Florida, bro. You're dealing with the nightmare of like not rusting and all this stuff, bro.
Well, they're usually not made of iron or ferrous metals. They're made of aluminum, so they don't rust. What was I going to say? And they aren't efficient month to month because the sun changes. So they're normally pointed to be the most efficient during when the sun is out the most, right, in the summer months, whatever those are, and you put them at an angle. Now, if you make them where they can change and turn, that would be the most efficient. But now your price is tripling, quadrupling. To make it sun tracking, so
I don't know.
Gotta hit those grease nipples.
Actually, Ozen, have you seen where they're now testing vertical ones, and instead of painting them southward, they're doing them east and west, and so that actually flattens the curve a little bit. So they're like seeing how much efficiency you lose. It's just some really cool things they're doing on that to try to help make it so the efficiency, or not the efficiency, the power doesn't all just come at one time to try to do it. So anyway, I've watched a few videos on that because they're talking about putting them on the side of houses as well. So
efficiency can go down when they're too hot. When they overheat, their efficiency can go down too. Depends on the manufacturer of the panel.
Yep. You guys are hilarious.
They work though. They're not. Oh, we got back.
Sorry, I got it. I was transitioning from the car. I have a Prius, so funny talking about electronic hybrids and stuff. So coming from the Prius into the house.
I have a fully electric car, so I've lived with one. So
that's dope, man.
I always think it's hilarious. People that have never had one and don't even know anyone that has one hardly always know more about my electric car than I do. It just like never fails. They tell me, "Oh, it's like this," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. I own one, so I think I would know, but maybe I don't. I guess."
Dr. J, you're the most hippest pastor around, man. You're like super, like you're like the true kind of cool pastor, unlike the Hillsong pastor. You're like actually a cool pastor. You know?
Aren't electric cars kind of like the fluorescent bulbs compared to the old incandescent bulbs? Like, don't they have a far greater carbon footprint to produce the electric car compared to the old?
They do, and they pay it back.
Totally,
they pay it back in like a year and a half.
A year and a half.
And I'm in Kansas, so we get 42% of our energy from wind. So mine paid back maybe within a year.
Okay.
You know what I did today, Dr.
You only
J?
You only have to use Africans to mine some lithium for a little bit, like a year and a half.
No, they don't mine lithium. They don't mine lithium.
Out, guys.
They don't mine lithium. They mine
all
cobalt.
works itself out in the end.
They mine cobalt.
Oh,
and depending on which electric car you have, it doesn't have cobalt, and they don't want cobalt in them because it costs more. So
child slavery to get some fucking batteries.
You have cobalt in your cell phone battery, and you don't care about child slavery at all. So
I do care about child slavery. That's why
then get rid of your cell phone.
I'm gonna go. It was great talking to you all. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, God bless you.
Good night. Nighty-night, everybody.
I mean, so they don't use they don't have to use cobalt to make electric vehicles, as Dr. J just said. So we can use lithium iron batteries, or they're better. The life cycle's better. They can store more power. We've been using iron batteries for 150 years almost now.
Nickel, cadmium. Yeah.
Nickel cadmium's a different style of battery, but they don't have a long enough charge.
No, I get it. And they have a memory. Yeah.
Nickel cadmium,
lithium doesn't seem to have a memory.
I mean, lithium doesn't have a memory. Iron can store a charge for a large charge, but they're big. But you can the new ones, the lithium nickel battery or lithium iron batteries, they can condense the size of the batteries, and they're more efficient. So iron is iron is everywhere, and lithium is it's the third most common element in the universe, or something like that. Like it's hydrogen, helium, and lithium.
You got citation for that?
Yes. Yeah. That's super common.
Please.
And we just found a whole bunch more in Washington State. I think, you know how it was like, oh, we have enough in Nevada, but it's on, certain land that Indians own or whatever. And now we found a huge deposit in Washington. So now that we're looking a little bit, we're finding more and more of it. So it's super common.
Lithium is the
I would
number
love
3
to
on
see
the
a citation
periodic table.
Yeah, of where it's everywhere.
Lithium is number 3 on the periodic.
News to me, brother.
That lithium's number 3 on the periodic table.
Okay, but does that mean it's everywhere?
It's very common in the universe. That's what I said.
Okay.
I didn't necessarily
it's just weird that they gotta mine it. So I don't know. It's everywhere, but
you can either mine it or you can get it out of liquid. Those are the two ways to do it.
Yeah.
You can so they can get it out of certain lakes. Like what's the lake that was like super toxic? Do you remember Ocean? That they're pulling lithium out of. I forget the name of that lake. They actually use the heat from the lake to run the power in order to run the stuff that gets the lithium out. And of course, oil requires what? Tons of mining, and you burn it and you never use it again. You burn it, you never use it again. You burn it, you never use it again. Whereas lithium, you mine it and you can recycle up over 90% of it. And so it's just way, way better because you can use it over and over. Whereas fossil fuels are super power dense, but you have to keep mining it over and over and over again. I'm sure mining's not the right word, but
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, fossil fuels seems to refuel. I mean, I guess that's the right word. Refuel itself. Like if you hit oil.
Well, let's pretend.
Fill
really quick.
It sounds like
I'm sorry.
I want to steal man, you flat man. Let's pretend we got an unlimited supply of fossil fuels. That's the problem is burning it. It's using it. it produces carbon emissions. It produces carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. So we're pretty good at capturing carbon monoxide now. We're not very good at capturing carbon dioxide.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, that's feeding the trees. That's feeding us. It's
Correct.
feeding our realm. I mean,
Correct.
it's good for us. It's
No,
not bad.
It's good. It feeds the trees. It feeds our realms. It causes global climate change, which means there's going to be like 2 billion displaced people, which means we're going to have a mass die-off of humanity. So if you're worried about human population, if you're worrying about, so are you one of these people that worry about people having enough children to maintain human population?
Are
you one of these people that worry about, well, in Europe they're having less than 2 babies per couple? That's horrible.
I don't know if I really worry about that, as far as maybe like they're infertile and they want to have
infertile.
Kids.
They're not infertile. They just choose not to have kids. And but we're not even talking about that.
Did they do a survey on that? Okay.
It doesn't matter. They're having less kids, so they're not replacement. Do you worry about people not having enough children to replace their population?
I don't think so. I don't think I worry about that.
Okay, so you don't care if billions of people die off? Then
no, of course I care about it, but it's like something out of my control.
No, it's not something you're out of your control. You just want to hand wave it away and pretend like it's not going to happen because you say it feeds the trees. You're right. It does feed the trees. You just said it feeds the trees.
It does feed the trees.
Yeah, so who cares about humans because it feeds the trees, right?
The trees feed the humans, brother.
You eat trees? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't eat trees.
No, it gives us oxygen.
No, most of the oxygen comes from where?
The trees.
I'm actually pretty
you
sure.
You think it comes from the oceans?
Pretty sure.
I'd like to see a citation on that one.
Where does most oxygen
that up.
come from? The ocean.
That's real fast. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So can you screen share so I can see that?
I guess. I mean, you just accept my word for it. See?
No, I don't want to accept your word for it. The ocean. Okay, scientists estimate that roughly half of the oxygen production of Earth comes from the ocean. The majority of this production is from oceanic plankton, drifting plants, algae, and some bacteria that can photosynthesize one particular species. Interesting. I've never heard this.
Yeah, it's really cool. Because you have plants.
I've never seen that in my life, bro.
I've known about this like forever. Like, okay.
Well, I do think it's sort of more esoteric. I don't think everyone knows it. I think mostly the narrative is what Flatman said. It's the idea that the whole cycle with trees, that we emit carbon dioxide and then the trees process it and then they produce oxygen. So that's the narrative that we know in general. But you're right. The deeper dive showcases this. But that's the cool thing about science. There's a lot of, it's like an ocean. It's extremely mysterious and a large depth of all cool kinds of
things. Not mad, bro, that possibly 50% of the oxygen comes from the ocean. I'm not, if that's true, that's kind of cool.
Okay, so we don't need extra oxygen to live. There's plenty of oxygen. Let me speak. Okay. There's plenty. What's everybody laughing?
No, I'm laughing because you're just like,
you're just smiling and giggling and you're making us laugh. Yeah.
There's plenty of oxygen on planet Earth for us to live. As long as the plant cycle, the cycle we have, continues. But what's happening is the oceans are becoming more acidic. We're getting areas, like not large areas, fortunately. They look huge to us because we're small and tiny, but there's areas of the ocean that are dying, where the plankton's all dying off because of ocean acidity. So we see these like black plot patches in the ocean where the coral reefs are dying off because we're over harvesting coral reefs and stuff like that. So we're affecting these environments with harvesting, not doing reforestation. Like we need to do that. Like we can't just cut down trees and not put them back. We need to be better about that. I don't just mean the United States. I think the United States is pretty good at reforestation. We've been doing that for a long time now, because we recognize that we can't just go clear cut. It causes so many other issues. But when we look at other parts of the world, they just want the money from selling the wood.
To be fair, though, if let's say you're correct and that 50% of oxygen is coming from the ocean, then are the cow farts, our carbon dioxide emissions really a factor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So okay. So what happens is there's a whole cycle to it. So carbon gets emitted. Plants eat it. We get more plants. So the plant growth on the planet, I think, has increased like 15%. Is that correct, Dr. J? I believe something like that.
I forget that number. Yep. I think you're on the right track, but I don't remember the number either. I'm sorry.
So with this huge increase in CO2 emissions, like we've doubled the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere through the Industrial Revolution. I think it was right around 180 parts per million, and I think right now we're like at 450 or so parts per million. So that means for every molecule in the atmosphere, for every million molecules in the atmosphere, it used to be 180 of them were CO2. Now it's like 450 of them are CO2. CO2 has the thing where it amplifies our global temperature. So that's what I was talking about earlier, trying to talk about. It's called climate sensitivity. It's actually called climate equilibrium sensitivity. So that's how much CO2 increase for how much of the temperature increase there is for the doubling of CO2. So if there is no temperature increase for doubling CO2, then we have no problem, right? So as it comes to climate change. But what we found is like for every doubling of CO2 in the atmosphere, so when we go from 100 to 200 parts per million, it looks like it was like 2 to 3 degrees Celsius rise in temperature, average temperature. But now the modeling looks like it's going to be over 5. So if we go from like 400 or 450 to 600, that's going to be like another 1 degree rise. It's going to be another like 1.8 degree Fahrenheit rise, which we're fucked if we get that. Like that's too much. Like we need to stop it basically now. Like 2 degrees Celsius rise is too much, I think, is what the modeling shown. So that's going to happen within 20 years is what I think, if this estimate is correct, it's going to happen in 20 years. So I want to finish what I was going to have before. So CO2 increases, plants eat it because it's part of the life cycle of the plant through photosynthesis, absorbing CO2, more plants grow. So we have 15% more plants. Food production is blown up on the planet Earth. Like we produce more food now because we have more CO2. Like we find this is true in like greenhouses and stuff. We pump in more CO2, we get more plant production. What we find out though, if we increase the CO2 too much in greenhouses, the nutrient value plummets. So once I think they found like if they increased it to like 3,000 parts per million, the food value, like the nutritional value of the plants actually goes down, where it's not as nutritional as it would be like around like 1,000. So like double, like sometimes they add CO2 to greenhouses to produce more food, to keep the temperature up during cold months, stuff like that, so they can produce food longer.
Oh, you're just fighting for my side then on that one.
No, so we get more plant growth. So that is you have positive you have negative, you have runaway, you have positive magnification factors. There's a word for it, I can't remember the word, and negative one. So the plant growth subtracts from the CO2 in the atmosphere, which is good. But we are producing CO2 faster than plants are growing and producing. So the CO2 in the atmosphere is continuing to increase, which is causing global warming. So we are at that's the bad part. So I understand what you're saying. More plants, but good, but more CO2 bad. So let's stop CO2 emissions, or at least reduce them to
I know
2000 levels.
But that's when we kind of get into the World Economic Forum and,
dude, I follow this stuff all the
like there's too many people and we're destroying Mammy Earth.
I follow this climate stuff all the time,
loop.
and no one ever talks about the World Economic Forum. The only time I hear about the World Economic Forum is when people who are against climate change bring it up. I'm super for it, listen to tons of podcasts on it all the time. And the World Economic Forum is never, ever, ever mentioned. You act like they're super important. I think they're
They are very important, bro. They're just off your radar.
Do they have money that they give to people to make them do stuff?
They just have control that you don't completely understand, bro.
Oh, right, yeah. So complicated you can't even explain it to me.
But they don't control me. They're not controlling Dr. J. They're not controlling Issa.
I'm not saying they're controlling you guys. I'm just saying that there's an influence.
They're not controlling our evaluation of the facts. They're not controlling our.
No, I'm not controlling.
You can do this own test. You can
take influence, Oz. Yeah.
Can you tell me why, when we add CO2 to a greenhouse and increase the temperature in the greenhouse,
that's good for the plants?
It increases the temperature in the greenhouse.
Right. But that's begging the question to say that the CO2 is being increased on Earth. I mean, can I get an experiment on that? Can I get a citation?
You can see it. Increased? You drive a car, it produces CO2.
That's not going to be good enough.
I don't care.
I need about a citation.
That's just. You know what fallacy that is, Flatman?
Incredulity, right? Give me a rest.
Denying known science.
Yeah, whatever you need.
That's a denying. That's a denying known science fallacy.
Bro, but science is never settled. Science is never settled. It's always skepticism.
Denying known science, dude. I'm not going
to... denying known science? So is science concrete, or is it always skepticism?
I'm not a skeptic. I don't care.
Well, then you're not a scientist.
I'm not a scientist.
A scientist is a skeptic.
I'm not. I'm a naturalist. I'm not a skeptic. I don't care.
You're a naturalist. Okay. Can you explain what that is to me?
Are you a scientistic? No, the conversation about climate crisis, it's not to explain basic concepts to you. I'm not going to
I'm not asking you to
paper.
Explain.
You want a citation on what produces CO2? I'm not entertaining that question. That's not going to happen here. So so you can deny the temperatures are increasing, but why? So temperatures increase in greenhouses if you add CO2s. Farmers will do this. You deny.
Right. I was asking for a citation for the Earth getting hotter because of CO2.
Would you believe it if we
not the greenhouse?
You haven't seen the 30 years of news?
I mean, bust it out, bro. Give me a paper.
I mean, it seems like you keep not knowing things. We keep showing it to you, and then you keep having extreme confidence that we're wrong and you're right.
What have you shown me,
you add. What did you ask Ozzy into screen share earlier? How that you didn't think there was a lot of lithium. We proved you that there was a lot, and yet you still confidently think you know what you're talking about, even though Ozzy has to keep correcting you. Yet you have lots of confidence, and it's clear you don't know a lot about this issue. Yet you have extreme confidence.
There's 88 million tons approximately on the Earth of lithium.
Jeez. All right, if I could just get the citation about the Earth,
and will you be less confident?
I asked a question. Answer the question first. Are you familiar with the last 30 years of news on global climate change?
Yes, there was global
Okay.
cooling and then global warming.
Not
and
within 30 years,
bullshit.
it hasn't been. Not within 30 years, it hasn't been. 30 years was a thing in the 70s and early 80s.
It's all fucking nonsense, brother. I love you to death, but it's all nonsense.
But so, I mean, instead of showing the humility to correct yourself, you're just doubling down. So we're wrong.
I'm doubling down because they said global cooling, then global warming.
So, no, the last 30 years
was it carbon?
The last 30 years it's been global warming.
Right.
Okay.
That's fair.
So there were some papers that were published in the 70s and 80s that discussed global cooling. There were also papers that discussed global warming during the same time. Newspapers, magazines published articles about global cooling in the 70s and 80s.
Right.
It wasn't a scientific consensus.
Right. So what was the consensus back then? It may or may not be global cooling.
It may or may not be either. That there was what we were concerned about then was emissions of like not Freon, but the chemical CFCs.
Oh, you're talking about the R34 and the you're talking about the refrigerant coolant, right?
Yeah, CFCs were causing issues with the ozone layer, which we don't have the same issues now, thanks to Reagan. Thanks, Reagan.
R32, I think was.
I'm not sure actually who enacted the law for CFC emission reduction.
I think it was Reagan. I think it was.
I think it was
during the Reagan era.
But or he had a part in it when it came to the U.S. So now, so we know more. So maybe there was some cooling due to CFC emissions because aerosol emissions seem maybe to have
that cold air. Yeah.
My understanding of the debate was as we fill up CO2 in the atmosphere, maybe it will make it so that the heat, I'm just super simple. Heat wouldn't be able to get in and things would cool because we wouldn't get as much heat from the sun. And the other saying, no, it's going to trap the heat here. And that was the debate that, the people that thought it might cool was because the heat wouldn't be able to get in initially. And so that was sort of what they thought. And then, of course, as time went on and more science would happen, that minority quit arguing that because that clearly wasn't happening. But even when they were saying that might be what happened, they agreed that CO2 has effect on heating and cooling. It's just whether it was going to let it in or whether it was going to trap it. And so they had argued it wasn't ever going to let it in. And obviously they've demonstrated that minority was wrong. And so now there's a even stronger consensus when there was.
And that's fine, bro. And that's fine. But there's what was the consensus at this moment scientifically?
That CO2 emissions caused.
Yeah.
That CO2 emissions cause warming, yes.
And somehow nature has never had dealt with this before.
No.
Well, somehow it's a problem at this point.
It's a problem
because
is
dealing with it.
Die. If you talk about it purely from a natural perspective, it's no problem. Lots of humans die, no big deal. Nature doesn't care. It's we care that humans are going to die. I care that humans are going to die. Nature doesn't care. Maybe it's had a lot of CO2 or it hasn't. It killed off this, it killed off that, it killed off that. It doesn't care whether it kills us too. We care because we don't want to die, or we don't want to see our fellow humans die. Yes, nature doesn't care how much CO2 it has. The world's going to keep going on whether we're here or not.
I appreciate
the issue is the issue is the humans. We don't want the humans to die.
I don't want him to die. Maybe he does. I don't know.
I don't. Ozzy, now I want humans to die. That's a straw man.
Well, this is why I am here, because I care about you. I care about Dr. J. I care about Issa. I especially, I care about the most? My 3 kids, dude. Like, I don't want my kids to suffer in 20 years. I might be dead and gone in 20 years, dude. I'll be in my 70s. My kids will be in their 40s.
You're not going to be
Like,
dead in 20 years. Don't speak that crap over you.
I'll be in my 70s. That's starting to get
You gotta
there
be
for my
positive.
family.
You gotta say it's like I'm gonna live to be
That's
100.
not
You gotta say stuff
negative.
like that.
Saying I live to be in my 70s is not a negative thing.
That's a little
saying that I worry about how my kids are going to live in their 40s when they're in the prime years of their life, dude, and they're going to be going through where there could be 2 billion people on the planet displaced. Like, you worry about people coming across the Mexican border now. Like, I'm for open borders, actually. Like, but dude, how many people are going to die? How many people are going to die?
I think we should not find out.
Starvation and resources, dude. Listen, bro. There's a lot of points that me and you agree with, brother. Really, we do. But yeah, man. When it comes to flat Earth and when it comes to global warming, I'm hitting the blockade with you.
Yeah, it just seems like your power here is not knowing anything. Oh, I don't know that. I don't know that. I don't know that. And it's like I don't know.
I
finds
didn't
that
know
convincing.
this and didn't
You
know
didn't
that.
know how much lithium there was. You didn't believe it till we cited to you two. You didn't understand why some
Is
people
that
argue for
common
global
knowledge that the amount of lithium?
doesn't
bro?
have
No,
to
it's not common knowledge. It just demonstrates that you don't know that much about it, and you seem to think that makes you more convincing. And I'm saying, if you're listening to this conversation, who doesn't know a lot of information? You don't know a lot of information. You're welcome to believe it, but the saying that you don't know stuff and acting like that is a convincing argument is hard to believe.
I'm not coming in here, Dr. J, with Dunning Kruger. I'll tell you what I know, and I'll tell you what I don't know. Like,
okay. So, since you don't know, who do you think is best able to inform you about the consequences of CO2 emissions?
Sure. I would need like 3 different scientists from different walks of life. And yeah, I know that sounds weird, but
what's a walk of life?
I don't either know what that means.
Just different walks of life, not like, you know, maybe one's a Christian, one's an atheist, one's a
3 different
agnostic.
countries. 3 different countries or 3
just
different
like,
religions.
And they all look at one thing, and then they are very intelligent, and I'm not as intelligent as they are. And so, based on their analysis, look, dude, I'm a layman. I have to appeal to authority.
Here, Flatman. There's no scientists on stage here, but there's an atheist, a Christian, and a Muslim on stage. I know, Dr. J. Do you believe in global climate change, Dr. J?
Yes.
Issa, do you believe in global climate change? If he's here still. Well, I know Issa does too, and I do. So there's a Christian,
and I do
a Muslim, and an atheist who all believe in global climate change.
4.
What?
1 out of 4.
I mean, come on, keep track for moment to moment, dude. You just said I need 3 people from different walks of life.
That are experts, Ozian. Experts.
Okay. You won't change your mind then either. If we gave you 3 scientists from 3 different religions, from 3 different countries that were all science experts, would it mean anything to you? Would it change your mind at all?
That would mean a lot to me.
I don't particularly believe you, but I bet they would be really easy to find.
Yeah, here I'll share one right now. Here we'll view this one. Here. Stefan Motska, Jeffrey Dutton, Robert Portman, Martian Chipperfield, Sean Davis, Woohoo Fang, Alistair Manning, Eric Gray, Matthew Rigby, Bradley
What are these all?
Carolina Cecil, J. David Nance, Paul
What
B.
are these, PhDs or something, or what?
Yes. Jens Muhel, Dickon Young, Simon O'Doherty, Peter K. Solomon, Christina M. Harth, Ronald G. Prin, Ray F. Dees, James W. Elkins, Helen Walter Turinoni, Christina Theodori. Okay, let's look at list of climate scientists. List of climate scientists.
Can I
Judith Curry.
And hold on. Can I get them from different walks of life? I want a Hindu, I want a Christian, I want a atheist.
I don't know.
We can't do this cookie cutter.
We'll be able to find that. We'll be able to find
Dr.
that.
J. Yes, of course, but in 3 minutes we can't do it. We got
There you go. Leading climate scientists that are Hindu: Dr. Surya Chandra A. Rao, Dr. C. Ganathilan, Dr. Sunil D. Pawar, Dr. Thara Prabhakaran. Okay. What? Who do you want? You want Muslim? Okay. Listed. Climate change, climate scientists. I mean, it's a stupid, dude. Like, who cares who they are? Do you think the skin color, religion?
You're straw manning me. I'm not caring who they are. I just want people from different walks of life that aren't like cucked into a certain model, you know, and like
I mean you've the evidence you require we find, and then you just find different evidence, and it seems like your goal is to make it so there's no way to change your mind. Absolutely no way.
I really want my mind to be changed.
Here you go.
To be honest with you,
a movement of Islamic environmentalism based on Islamic tradition, rather than imported white savior environmentalism based on first world political campaigns, can address both COVID-19 and environmental problems, issues like climate change.
Dude, this has to be the most propaganda thing I've ever seen in my life, dude. What the fuck?
There's just no way. You can't even think of anything that would convince you. This is just.
So here's Muslims saying from their Islamic tradition, not from white savior culture, that they accept global climate change and COVID.
Based on the fact that they didn't know if it was cooling or heating, I don't trust these people, bro. I need like, you know what?
You're gonna make something else up that we'll find, and you'll reject it. That's what will happen. You'll make something else up, and you'll find it, and we'll find it, and you reject it. Like you can't be convinced of anything.
Yay, Dan! Thank you for becoming a member. Thank you so much, bud.
Welcome
so I met your challenge and you still reject it. So I don't think you want to.
Yeah, let's just change this. Let's change the subject, because
the subject is climate crisis conversation.
I know, but let's change the subject of me being convinced. I don't think I'm gonna be convinced.
Well, I think we're at a stopping point, anyways. Yeah. So tomorrow I'm going to do for show notes, I guess, unless you have any closing remarks you want to say, Dr. J, because I don't think you got
it's a super awesome topic. I think it's super important. The part I care about is technology. The technology of the future is going to be so awesome. It's going to be kick butt. It's getting better and better all the time. It's going to be great. And while maybe we'll still have jet fuel, whatever, most of the things that fossil fuels are used for are going to be worse than what we invent. And it's super cool, and it's an exciting future ahead of us.
Yeah, I think we'll see futurism. Like, hopefully, and better cities. Do you imagine? Like, I might not live to see it, but my kids, my grandkids, like, I would love, like, for my grandkids to live in a world where they can just go outside and walk onto a moving roadway and go to see a movie or go to a national forest like 100 miles away and be there in like 20 minutes. Can you imagine that?
If it's not torched by the sun from global warming.
Well, if people stop believing in ridiculous things, we won't have those problems. If rational people had their way, I think the world would be better off. Like people that don't reject the word belief.
I don't reject belief.
But with that, I'm going to. I didn't say you did. But with that, I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do tomorrow, which I'm going to have a show.
Can I do my ending? Can I get a 30 second?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, 30 second. I love you all. God bless you. I know that we don't believe exactly the same things, but I care about you people. I like hanging out with you, and I just love the human experience, and you're all awesome people. That's it.
Thank you for being on, Flatman. All right, tomorrow I'm doing a show where Witsit Gets It apparently was upset about my debate yesterday, so he did a 4-hour stream in response to my debate about the moon landing. So I wanted to go over that. Correct another perspective. VR is awesome. I have like 4 or 5 VR headsets. I need to get them all working. And then we have a not much else scheduled until Sunday or Saturday, March 2nd, with another Deep Six show with I think it's Grayson's going to be on for that one.
I'm sorry, you said you're going to be on Modern Day Debate, or did you? I'm sorry, I missed that. Are you going to be on a debate soon?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. So. I'm sorry.
Maybe people are trying. Witsit fans are trying to get Witsit to debate me on the moon landing.
Gotcha.
On Modern Day Debate, so they're emailing him. They think he's going to crush me on the moon landing. If I get a chance to talk,
I'd be behind that. I think I could get behind that.
I think a 1v1 debate between me and Witsit is due, and I don't think Witsit's going to walk out alive.
Well, I think I would like it better if you and Witsit did a one-on-one, because sometimes the team thing gets a little messy.
Mm-hmm.
It gets a little messy, in my fair opinion. You know what I mean?
Agree.
Yeah.
Okay, and with that, that's all I have. Please like, share, subscribe to the show. We get a lot of shares. I really appreciate all the shares people do. Please subscribe to the channel. Become a channel member for 99 cents. Like Dan, it helps to feed my parrot. And
for $1, guys, become a freaking member, guys. It's just 99 cents. Come on, get off your butt. It just takes 2 seconds.
Yeah. Tinker Phil, I had one good 2v2 debate, and that was with the wonderful Grayson, who's going to be on here on Sunday. And we actually debated Dustin Nemos and Flatsoid. Anyways, with that, I'll see y'all tomorrow. It's going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it'll probably just be me on stage. I might let somebody up, but I don't want to spend too long because it is a 4-hour video. So anyways, I'll talk to y'all later.
No doubt. I love you, man. God bless you. You be safe, okay?
All right. Take care, bud.